I'm Keith Morrell. I'm a local resident, born a couple of 100 metres away from where we're sitting right now. My role in the carnival, I've got lots of roles in the carnival. I suppose it's not boasting to say I'm the lead organiser, but I get involved in lots of interests, and carnival is a way that I can kind of get involved and do lots of different things because I'm interested in lots of different things. I'm supposing that most people know what a carnival is and what it entails, and even then there are different kinds, but you know, it's about fun, it's about bringing people together, it's about music and other arts. In Butetown particularly, it's about the diversity of culture, it's about the cultural influences and other things that were brought in from by our foreparents, and even it's about welcoming newer incomers. It's also about being Welsh and kind of working with what that means, being Welsh from Butetown and how we fit into the whole of Wales. It originally began, to my knowledge, as something called Carnival in 1968 when I was 11 years old. But it was mainly a fairground. It was a large-scale fairground on the field for the whole week. During that week there were community type of events interjected and spotted around the place. Throughout the 60s and the early part of the 70s, the Butetown Youth Club used to take part in the Cardiff Lord Mayor's Parade. The youth club was run by a man called Chalky White, and yeah, he was instrumental in bringing Carnival together, but he was even bigger than that. He was instrumental in lots of things. The local youth club would have a float and costumes entered into the Lord Mayor's Parade. One year there was a little bit of controversy, and it was kind of decided that maybe we should have our own carnival again. So again, that was the early 70s, around 1974. One year, 1976, it was a very rainy summer, and it was decided there would be no carnival that year. So a group, quite a large group of young people from Butetown went to the Notting Hill Carnival. We went from the youth club, but it wasn't an official youth club visit. We'd gone independently, but we kind of gathered the youth club. And that year there was riots at the Notting Hill Carnival in London. So by the time we'd all got, the young people from Cardiff were totally in the clear, unharmed and everything. But by the time we got back, it must have obviously caught the ears of our local elders, and they decided then the Butetown Carnival should be an annual event, because the logic was our young people shouldn't have to go to London to find our culture. We should be able to find it on our doorstep. That was the philosophy at the time. There was a period when there was no carnival. It was around about the time of Cardiff Bay Development Corporation, and the corporation were kind of interested in reinvigorating carnival, but not to put too fine a point on they didn't trust locals to do it, so they kind of brought in a professional arts organisation, but that relationship wasn't very satisfactory all around. And so after a couple of years, the corporation put a call out for local residents to be involved in organising it, about 1991, 92. So I responded to that. There were other things going on in the community, probably some things going on in my life, where you get fed up of being fed up. In a sense, the rise of Cardiff Bay and this particular area matched the demise of what was happening in Butetown. You know, we learned to know, oh, they've done this and they got that and they, you know, and that become kind of ingrained. It's kind of justified, but after a while you realise it's going nowhere. So I think one of the reasons why we decided to bring back Carnival, again a bit of arrogance, is we can do it. The other stuff I don't know that we could do. I don't know if we could do this, but we can do Carnival, we've done it. there was a man, a local man, who was singing and playing bongos and flute. And I was 11 years old, and I really liked music, but I don't know if the word is astounded. I don't think I was quite astounded, but I was taken aback that ordinary people could make music, because I thought, like, you know, music mostly came out of boxes for me, the radio or the television, and then they're like people in a distant land somewhere, a different breed of people almost. And so to see somebody, you know, that reads the South Wales Echo in the corner shop and stuff, and all of a sudden so that was a revelation to me. And he was a fan of some of my friends as well, so there's this whole thing of people make music. This one is from the early 70s again, and I said it was a hostage to the weather. So there was no stage. There was, in Loudon Square at the time, there was what was called the flower bed. There was a raised platform. The guy in the centre of the picture there, this is just across the road from his house, it's about 20 metres from his front door. So it was hyper-local again. Behind him, his brother's playing drums, so it's Lawrence Armon on percussion and Aaron Armon on drums. Butetown has always had a kind of this core of really serious musicians, even when we were children. But as we grew up, these guys become kind of the next echelon of it. And Aaron, the drummer, is he's world famous. And alongside is a guy called Anthony Campbell. Yw'r had taken some of the photographs of the very early carnivals. In fact, it's kind of surprising to see him on this side of the camera. This one is from about 1992. This is under Tiger Bay Community Arts, so it was one of the occasions when the community had kind of wrested control of Carnival again. This costume group were called Black Gold. There was some reference to coal there, but also reference to our Africanness. For that year, and probably the next year, all the costumes were kind of designed and mostly made by a man called Martin Griffiths, who came here from Barbados. This one is from around the same period in the early 80s. And it looks like they got a nautical theme. I found that interesting because of this one, because there's like a replication, because you've got a mother and daughter here, and the same mother and daughter appear here almost 30 years later. These represent our latest incarnation since 2014. One of the most important things for me this time around, I know it sounds a bit trite, but is the involvement of the children. Most often I'm somewhere towards the front of the parade because I'm taking photographs, I'm looking back. I'm usually looking back on the parade. I've seen young people who've been involved every year since they were in buggies, since they were being carried. And so you see somebody go from 2 years old to 8 or 9 years old. It's all about we are here. No, we're not just here wanting or demanding or needing. I mean, literally, that's one of the essential things of parading. We are here. In the past, we've started here and moved away and kind of retreated. We've been here almost apologetically. Everyone would meet and get dressed for the parade and go away, and you could all forget about us again, you know. But like I say, this is if it's about visibility, then this is where we want to be visible. It's also important for so many other reasons. Like I say, the rise of this area, this cultural quarter, is at the same time as us fading into oblivion, as it were. So there's a bit of reclaiming the space. This building, I think I told you before, even the little artificial cannons outside. This was my playground as a child. Because we'd been disconnected from this place, there was a need to come and reclaim it. Aside from those kind of emotive issues, the whole place has been designed for public events and festivals and festivities. Even the Senedd's canopy and approach It's a public, it's not just the entrance to the building, is it? It's a whole public thing there, and it's meant to be seen, used, have all these functions.